USBs can often lead to a security compromise if proper security measures are not in place, such as disabling the usage of USBs, having a proper EDR solution, or sometimes proper security awareness training. Now, although some companies utilize a cloud solution as a replacement of what a USB has to offer, such as transferring files in and out of the environment, there are still quite a bit of organizations that do utilize USBs. Because 1, they can be cheaper, 2, it is something you own, and 3, it is portable. In this video, we'll be going over a lab provided by Blue Team's lab called Suspicious USB Stick, where we'll be analyzing the contents that were found in a USB after a startup company had been compromised. I'll be using Remnux to help with analyzing these contents, and if you aren't sure how to get started with Remnux, I'll leave a link in the description for you down below. Let's get started. To get started with this lab, you want to head over to blueteamlabs.online and create an account if you haven't done so already. Once you create an account and log in, you want to head over to challenges at the top. From there, you want to search up suspicious, and the one that we want to click on is the suspicious USB stick. Click on start challenge. Let's quickly go over their scenario. One of our clients informed us that they recently suffered an employee data breach. As a startup company, they had a constrained budget allocated for security and employee training. I visited them and spoke with the relevant stakeholders. I also collected some suspicious emails and a USB drive an employee found on their premises. While I am analyzing the suspicious emails, can you check the contents on the USB drive? And there are 3 reading materials that, if you want, you can go over, but in this particular video, I am going to skip that. And what I'll do is I will right-click this download file and then click on copy link address. The reason why I'm doing this is because I am using Remnux for my file analysis, and I am currently SSH'd into my Remnux machine. Again, if you don't know how to get started with Remnux, I'll leave a link in the description down below. With the copied link address, I am going to type in wget and paste in my link. Once it's done downloading, I'll type in ls, and my file is right there. So I'll type in unzip, type in AQ and hit tab for auto completion. It will ask me, hey, there is a password. If we go back over to Blue Team Labs, we can see that the password is BTLO all in lowercase. Type in BTLO, and now we have 2 files that we unzipped. There's one that is called btlo.txt and then another one called usb.zip. Let's type in ls again. And we do see a new folder that was created called BTLO suspicious USB. So let's go ahead and change into that directory. Type in cd, BTLO, and hit tab. And here are our 2 files that we extracted. I'll cat out the btlo.txt just to see what's inside of the text file. And this says, this free challenge is owned and provided by blueteamlabs.online. Please don't distribute these files outside of our platform. We give them away for free anyway. I'll clear out the screen, and now let's go ahead and unzip our usb.zip file. Now it is asking for another password, and if we go back over to the site, it says inner zip is infected. So this one right here. I'll type in infected in all lowercase, and now we have 2 additional files. One is the autorun.inf, and then the other one is a readme.pdf file. Clear out the screen, type in ls. Let's change into the new directory called USB. Type in ls again, and we have another directory called autorun. So let's go ahead and change into that. Type in ls, and now we can see our 2 files. Let's go ahead and clear out the screen here. The first thing I'm going to do is obtain a file hash for these 2 particular files. In order to do that, I'll type in SHA-256 sum, and I'll just put an asterisk. This will tell Remnux to generate a SHA-256 hash on these 2 files. I'll open up my trusty notepad and let's go ahead and copy these values. Paste that in here. Now that we generated a file hash, the next thing that you can do is search on VirusTotal to see if anybody else has analyzed these files. But before we do that, let's continue on with this analysis. Whenever you download any type of file, you don't always want to trust the file extension that you see. For example, we can see that this file is called readme.pdf. Now, you don't want to always trust that this particular file is a PDF file just because it says .pdf. And you might ask, but Steven, how do we determine if that file is actually a PDF file or not? And this is where a magic number comes in handy, aka a file signature. These are essentially the first couple bytes that make up a file. In other words, these bytes are how the operating system can determine the file's file type. And I'll show you a site that I love to use. So if you head over to Google and search up Gary Kessler magic number, you want to select the first result, which is GCK file signatures table. Click on that. And from here, I can do a Control F to find, and I'll type in PDF. So this right here is our magic number or file signature for a PDF file. The first couple bytes are 25, 50, 44, and 46. Now, if I head back over into my SSH session, within Linux, there is a command called file that will allow you to determine what the file type of this particular file is. For example, I'll type in file and then point it over to readme.pdf. And it spits out, hey, it's a PDF document. But how did file determine that? And that is based on the magic number / file signature, which is what we see right here. If you wanted to see the first couple bytes for any kind of file, you can download a third-party tool called HXD, but within Linux, we actually have a command that we can use called xxd and then point it over to the readme.pdf file. Go ahead and hit enter, and look at that. We have a bunch of information here. So these are the hexadecimals that we want to take a look at. And if you recall, the magic number is the first couple bytes. So what I'll do is type in xxd, point it back over to my readme.pdf file, and I'll pipe it into head. By using head, it is going to output the first 10 lines. And just like that, the first couple bytes, 25, 50, 44, 46. Looking at it in ASCII text, we do see PDF-1.7. Now, if we go back over to our Gary Kessler site, we can see that the first couple bytes for a PDF document is 25, 50, 44, 46, which in our case, it does match 25, 50, 44, 46. Now we can say for certain that this particular file is indeed a PDF file. I'll go ahead and clear out the screen and type in ls again. We do have another file called autorun.inf. What I can do is type in file autorun.inf. And it is a Microsoft Windows autorun file. Let's go ahead and check out what the contents are for that particular file here. So I'll run cat autorun.inf, and here we go. We do see open equals readme.pdf, where the icon is autorun.ico. By looking at this, we can assume that once this USB was inserted, it would automatically run and open this particular document called readme.pdf. So how do we begin analyzing PDF documents? Well, when it comes to PDFs, these file types contains what are called elements, which can then be drilled down via objects. And we can do this using various different tools. However, the one that we'll be using today is called PeepDF, so spelled like this, and it does come built in with Remnux. So if you are following along, I do highly recommend that you spin up Remnux to perform your analysis. And to use this tool, all we need to do is just point it over to our readme.pdf document, and then we can hit enter. Before I begin analyzing this PDF document, as an FYI, in the MyDFIR SOC Analyst course, we do go into more detail when analyzing malicious documents such as PDFs. By using PeepDF, we can already see some elements that are listed here. It is quite hard to see because it is highlighted in blue, but we can see that there is a number correlated with this particular element. The number represents the object, whereas the name represents the elements. So for example, our catalog element is within object number 1, and a catalog in terms of PDFs, you can kind of think of this as a table of contents. And at the bottom, we can see objects with JS code, and this is within object number 27. Suspicious elements, we can see open action, names, AA, JS, launch, and JavaScript. I'll provide a link down below for you to learn more about what these are. But essentially, one of the more important ones are open action, AA, JavaScript, and JS. For open action and AA, this will automatically load whatever content or code that is listed within that object once the PDF had been double-clicked. As for JS and JavaScript, this contains JavaScript code that can be used for nefarious purposes. So why don't we go and drill into object number 1, which contains our catalog and open action. To drill into an object, what we need to do here is type in PeepDF, and I'll invoke the flag of -i. This will allow me to use PeepDF in an interactive mode. meaning now I can start interacting with the content itself. So I'll type in object 1, and this will drill into my object number 1. From here, we can see metadata, viewer preferences, mark info, structured tree roots, open action, pages, type, language, and names. We can see that open action points to object 27. So what this is telling me is that when this PDF opens up, whatever is in object 27 will be executed automatically. Let's drill into object 27 to take a look at its contents. And starting with the first one, we do see a /type/action, and then a /s/JavaScript, and finally /JS. So let's quickly go over what this particular object is doing. For the first line, the type and action, this is indicating that the object is an action. For the second one, this specifies that the action is a JavaScript action. And finally, the last one, this will export a data object called README. And because it is launch 0, it is not going to open automatically upon exporting. Now, if we scroll up just a little bit here, we do see a suspicious element called launch. And this is located under object 28. Let's drill into our object number 28 and see what kind of contents it has. But before I do that, let's go ahead and copy this for the object 27 and then paste it into our trusty notepad. And I'll say object 27. For object 28, let's take a look here. I'll type in object 28 and ooh, look at that. We have some commands going on. Before we analyze this, let's go ahead and copy this out and I'll paste it into our notepad. Let's take a look at what this command does. So we can see cmd.exe/d and it's pointing over to system32. We have a flag of /P, Q, and C, and a bunch of various different arguments. What this command is essentially doing is that it will open up a command prompt where the directory is within Windows System 32. And this entire command is simply looking for the file name of readme.pdf under the directories of desktop or documents. And if it does exist, then it will automatically change into that directory and execute the readme.pdf file, which would then display the bottom contents, which is to view the encrypted content, please tick the do not show this message again box and press open. That's pretty interesting, right? Now, if we scroll back up, we do have another suspicious element, and that is called AA, which will automatically launch when this PDF is opened. And this is within object number 3. So let's drill into object 3 and take a look. And here we can see a lot of other elements. But if we take a look at AA again, we can see that it is pointing over to 28. And if you recall, if we go back over to object 28, it executes this command right here using command prompt. Now we know what happens immediately once the USB is plugged in. And to recap, once the USB is plugged in, it will automatically run this readme.pdf file, which then executes this command prompt with this command. And if we were to search up the file hash for this readme.pdf document, I'll go ahead and open up virustotal.com and let's search and paste in the file hash. We can, wow, we can see there's 43 security vendors flagging this as malicious. And it is part of a Trojan dropper hack tool with a family label as Sworit, Meterpreter, and PID-IEF. Head over to community, scrolling down, verdict is malicious, confidence of 100. We can see that there is a bunch of Yara signature matches, detect suspicious JavaScript in PDF, and that's about it. So that's pretty cool. Let's head over to our blue team level 1 and start answering some of these questions. Starting with number 1, what file is the autorun.inf running? And the format is filename.extension. Well, if we head over to our SSH, exit this out, clear out the screen, type in ls, I'll cat out autorun.inf. And this is running our readme.pdf. Go ahead and copy that, and let's paste that in here. Click on submit. Nice. Does the PDF file pass VirusTotal scan? No malicious results returned. True or false? This is a false because we did see a lot of security vendors flagging this. 43 to be exact as a recording. Hit submit. Does the file have the correct magic number? Yes, it does. Because if you recall, if we type in xxd, point it over to our readme.pdf file, and I'll pipe it into head, we can see that the first couple bytes are 25, 50, 44, 46. Which again, if we head over to Gary Kessler, for a proper PDF file document, the first couple bytes must start with 25, 50, 44, 46. Click on Submit. What OS type can the file exploit? Linux, Mac OS, Windows, etc. This is going to be Windows. Now, how do I know that? Well, if we go back over to our PeepDF, or actually we closed it, so let me go over to my notepad. See, this is why it's a good idea to always copy your output into a notepad. And the reason why I do say Windows is because of this command right here, command.exe, and it's pointing to the directory of C Windows/system32. So that is why I am saying Windows. Click on Submit. A Windows executable is mentioned in the PDF file. What is it? It is cmd.exe. And finally, the last question. How many suspicious /open action elements does the file have? Okay, I did not copy that. So let's do peepdf. You know what, I'll point it to -i again, just in case, readme.pdf. And we're looking for open action. So there is only one open action. Go back over and type in 1. And submit. Awesome. Hopefully, by following along, you are starting to gain a bit more confidence in your ability to analyze PDFs. Now, I am aware that this was quite a high-level overview of how to analyze PDFs, but if you are interested in doing more exercises, especially the ones that involve Word documents or JavaScript, I would invite you to take a look into the MyDFIR SOC Analyst course, as we continue to work together on identifying suspicious activity within these files. And then we learn how to uncover additional IOCs that we can use to further our investigation. Details will be provided in the description down below. That is it for the video, and I hope you found that informative. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe if you want to. Remember to stay curious and do things differently.